News Radio 840 WHAS. Good Sunday morning. Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show, with you until the top of the hour. With us today, great folks. Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. You can reach Brad and the team. And they're, by the way, ranked number one among Home Team Inspection Services. How many years now? 6, 7?
Six
years
plus
in a row. 844-411-TEAM. Also, Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices, who not only does closings, but wills and a variety of other things. And as Chuck will tell you himself, if he doesn't know how to do it, he knows someone who does.
No. I know how to do it. Whether or not I do it is another thing altogether.
Okay. I stand corrected. And you can reach Chuck at 499-6360. Also here, my son Greg, who does our marketing, photography, and so much more. And you can reach me anytime, Bob Sokoler, on my cell phone, day or night, even weekends after the radio show at 376-5483. Coming up a little later on in today's show, we're bringing this topic back because there's new breaking information from a variety of sources. 9 ways you are loading the dishwasher incorrectly.
Noin. Here we go.
That's coming up later in the show. All right, first, some of the news making headlines this week. Limited housing supply, strong buyer demand causing existing home sales to drop for the 4th consecutive month, falling 0.9% in May. The National Association of Realtors reported this past Wednesday. Still sales up 44.6% year over year, according to the same
and that's
group.
why that drop is meaningless.
Well, because there's not enough homes on the market, period.
Well, right, because it's a small slice of the large pie. You're looking at a number that's not indicative of what's going on right now. What's indicative, the number that matters is year over year home sales. Is it more than last year? Yes. Is that more than the year before? Yes. So who cares if it's off 6%? Because that number doesn't mean anything.
Here's the problem. The prices of homes are rising, and that's squeezing some first-time home buyers out of the market. So they can't afford it.
That's a big story. And the one we ran last week about that BlackRock or whatever, that whatever company, who I think you've got another story about how they
a couple of weeks. We're doing that. Yeah, we're following up on that. About big companies buying up all this. It's terrible. Meanwhile, just so you know, weekly mortgage refinance demand jumped, as some people are concerned that the super low rates are going to end. Now, you may remember, if you missed this, the Fed announced last week short-term rates should stay where they are until 2023, and they're planning to raise those rates twice in 2023. But remember that lenders are saying that there's no direct correlation between short-term and long-term with your mortgage rates. Yeah, right. HUD is aiming to boost home ownership with buyers with high student loans. This affects anybody who's got kids or friends who have high student loans. The Federal Housing Administration relaxing the way it assesses student loan debt. That's a big story. Lumber prices finally dropping. You may remember they soared during the pandemic. Those record wood prices finally starting to crack, and more
leveling. They're leveling.
Okay.
They haven't. I wouldn't say it's like a stock sale off. They're more of a leveling than a continued increase.
Yeah, the problem is there weren't people to cut the wood, sawmills to cut it up, so they're having now to ramp back up production. And some people had been working from home or returning to offices, so they're getting the work starting to come down in price. The homeowner wealth increases. New report. The buying a home, owning a home ownership gives you great wealth. And the antithesis to that story is that Louisville rental rates are growing faster than the national average. The Louisville area grew 7% from May 2020 to May 2021. So it's tough for renters to try to get going. All right, so some questions for our team here. Arthur writes, he lost his job during the pandemic and is 8 months behind on his rent. Will he be thrown out? Chuck, I know there's some new news with regards to that from the government and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention eviction moratorium.
And again, it's not a moratorium in fact. That is to say, it's not everything's shut down. It's just landlords have to jump through more hoops. There's more safety nets. There's it trims it down some. The thing, though, that if you're 8 months behind, that tells me that you're probably a few months out from being at the end of your lease. There's no moratorium on evicting if the lease is over. It is non-payment
based off of the current
that
agreement.
is the issue, right? So if you haven't paid and you can you can check out all the boxes that put you in the category of protected, then you have to file for the money that different outfits will have. And here in Louisville, I'm told that there's quite a bit of money to go around for that sort of thing.
Do you have a list that you could send out to anybody who emails in?
Yeah.
Possible?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So I would say, Arthur, email us, anybody who's got friends that yourselves having problems with rent. And you're
Well, like it's all case by case. Like, first off, didn't they just lift the national moratorium? Or was it June?
No, it was supposed to. Yeah, it's supposed to end the end of June, but they extended it, a month to the end.
Well, and it's state by state. Like California just released that they're saying that they're going to be covering all back rent. This is just this came out from depending on that.
Between what the state does and what the feds do.
Right.
Okay. So the CDC operates as the feds. Then you have local restrictions and whatnot. So we're talking about a moratorium with the feds would be, you're going to be in trouble. Well, it may be that there's a state issue going on that keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah.
The big issue is, though, if you're 8 months in, unless you went in and stopped paying immediately, you're probably either past or at the expiration date of the lease. And that plus any, if you're violating anything, you're committing crime, or, you've got a pet and you're not supposed to. Landlords are also grabbing onto that kind of thing, because the moratorium doesn't protect you if you're doing, if you're breaking the lease, other than the non-payment.
Yeah. So that is a big problem. And just so you know, Arthur, as we're talking about this, even as the pandemic starts to peter out, more than 10 million Americans across the country are behind on their rent. So this is not a single problem for you. You're in a lot of people out there company. All right. And something I sent out to you, all of you on the team, and if you want, as listeners, want to see this, it might be worth it to email me. Housing inventories are so scarce nationally. This is amazing, that listings are going under contract quickly and for above list price. In Colorado Springs, a real estate agent wrote this about her new listing. This was in the MLS, multiple listing service listing. And this is the script she wrote, home in dire need of some TLC, formerly majestic 5-bedroom home that has turned into every landlord's nightmare. The walls are covered in obscenity-laced graffiti. The home smells like there's a dead body in there. Also, you will notice there is not one surface of the home that has not been enhanced with black spray paint or a swinging hammer. If your dream of owning your own little slice of hell and turning it into a piece of heaven is there, look no further. You found it. So they got multiple offers on this. It was listed for $592,000, sold for over $600,000. That just goes to give you an idea of how hot this market is. Brad and I were talking before the show, and I said, what would it be like for you to, or your people, to inspect this type of a home? There are pictures online, and again, feel free to email me, and I'll send you the link to this. But you actually have a list of what? Do you have 5 top things that you found that we can talk about?
Well, I mean, I don't. I've got lots of things we can talk about as far as what we see during the inspections. But for an investor, for a tenant occupied home, we inspect a lot of those for investors. And I think the biggest challenge that we have is when the tenants stay in the home during our inspection. And we had one last year that 2 gentlemen sat in their recliners in the middle of a hoarder type of house, did not budge from those recliners during the entire inspection, while our team, this is a sizable multifamily dwelling, and I think we had 8 people on it, and we basically worked around these 2 guys for a couple of hours in hoarder-like conditions in one of the apartments. The other 2 of them were spotless, beautiful places, and the third one was kind of in between. But working around tenant contents and tenants themselves is always tricky. We do find that there are a lot of locked doors that landlords do not have keys to. A lot of scuttles that are locked, where tenants just lock things up so no one can see what's behind those closed doors. So it does make it a real
not
challenge.
to mention that negative, that just energy when you go in there and they don't want you to be in there. As far as photography goes, I can't tell you how many times I've run into that as well.
Oh yeah. It's
all right.
Do they? I haven't seen a whole lot of places that have been vandalized to the extent that home has, but we see a lot of vandalism, a lot of toilets that are ripped out of the floor, cabinets that are taken off walls, appliances that have been stolen. Mm-hmm. It runs the gamut.
All right, let's move on because we could stay on this subject for a while. By the way, if you want to see what sellers are saying about us, head to LouisvilleSellersTalk.com. Or you want to read our reviews, go to LouisvilleZillow.com. And so Billy asked a question here, and I'm asking this of Chuck. It's regarding love letters. So what's a love letter? It's where the buyer writes a letter and sends it either through email with an offer through his buyer's agent, or physically drops the letter off in the mailbox of the seller, telling the seller how much he loves the home. And there is a national movement. There's nothing I know legally that stops anybody from doing it, but there's a national movement to tell realtors not to do that, not to push that button and send love letters. Well, Billy, who's a veteran, had lost 20 offers to sellers in Louisville. His agent came up with the idea of a love letter. They wrote the love letter with pictures of Billy and his entire family, and Billy was also dressed in his uniform, his Air Force, I believe, and it was during the holiday Christmas season, and submitted that to the sellers, and sure enough got the offer on the house. They got it. So he's thrilled, but it brings up the question, Chuck, legally, would you say anything to a buyer or seller's agent with regards to passing on love letters? Have you had a theory on this at this point?
No, not really. It's not illegal to do it, so passing it on is not going to be illegal. Mm-hmm. What is the problem with that, Bob? What are you hearing?
Well, the concern, just for everybody's listening, the big concern is that by showing a picture or writing a letter, that the seller may, if the seller has a prejudice towards somebody or some religion, or
protection
race.
of familial status, race, religion, all that kind of stuff. Fair housing law violations is what NAR is
concerned
worried
about.
Yeah.
Now, and my point is, but where do you draw the line?
Hang on a second. Let me see if I'm understanding this. So what you're saying is, to avoid giving the seller an opportunity to discriminate, you don't send anything through that has a picture or anything like that.
Or letter, right. And that seems to be the national seal.
And discriminate, let me put it in an example. So 3 couples come see a home.
Yeah,
every one of them, every one of them has different religion, color, creed, and they see something in the home that they know will connect with that seller based off of race, color, religion, or creed. And then that letter is saying, we can't wait to spend this holiday in your home and raise our family. And here's pictures of us. We look like you. And then the other parties would then go say, well, we think that they're discriminating against us.
And that's the concern. And there have been at least one lawsuit nationally that's been filed because of that concern for discrimination. But my thinking is, well, where do you stop? And this is where I want your feeling on this, Chuck.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
How many transactions have the buyers and sellers never seen each other?
Oh, it's very rare. This is a very rare thing, but it is a thing that NAR is stance on.
I think that's going a little bit far. If a person's likely to discriminate based on those, I'm pretty sure they're going to take a look at Facebook or something and see.
Well, right. Forget a love letter. You could look at name on the contract, ring doorbell, security stuff.
I can see where it's not maybe the brightest thing to do. But
in these markets where it's competitive and you need every little edge, angle, slice to win a home.
So do you then take the names of the buyers off the contract? Because they can be somewhat right. I mean, that's where it goes.
Yeah, there's just too much. I mean, I grew up with the whole policy of, well, we don't agree with this, so we're not going to drink Pepsi or go see movies or whatever because yada, yada, yada. There's no end to it.
All right.
There is no end.
A reminder, if you want to see a repeat of this show, you can go to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That will take you to a visual. Actually, we're recording this on our Zoom channel. We push it up to YouTube, and you get a chance to replay the thrills of this show anytime that you want. We're going to take a break. When we come back. Yes, 9 ways you're loading your dishwasher possibly wrong. That's when we come back. Here with us, Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices, and you can reach him at 499-6360. Also, Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service, 844-411-TEAM. My son, Greg, who does our marketing and photography, is with us, and you can reach me, Bob Sokoler, anytime at 376-5483. We are back in a moment on News Radio 840 WHAS. News Radio 840 WHAS, the Louisville Real Estate Show, with you till the top of the hour. This is Bob Sokoler. Thank you, Barbara Corcoran, who's a friend and mentor, and we appreciate everything she's done for us and will continue to do. Chuck Crosby is with us, the Crosby Law Offices at 499-6360. Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service, 844-411-TEAM. My son, Greg, who is does our photography and marketing, and you can reach me, Bob Sokoler, at 376-5483. Okay, we talked about this a couple of years ago. There's new information out on this. We even got calls from GE who said, listen, next time I just didn't get a chance to reach out to him. Next time we'll come out and we'll give you our opinion. But here's a couple of things, and this is important, especially for people like Michelle, who may be listening to us right now. If you are pre-rinsing your dishes before loading them into the dishwasher, you may be wasting water and energy. Dishwasher detergents are designed to cling to food particles, separate them from the surfaces. So unless you aren't planning on running a load for several hours or years, simply scrape any large pieces of food off into the trash and then load the dishes.
Well, no, here's what you do. Here's what you do to conserve water in that point. You get a wet sponge, because there are some sticky foods that no detergent, especially if you're like me, you like to use non-harsh chemicals. We have a brand new dishwasher. Just take a wet sponge and scrub it. You don't have to have the water running. Just have a bowl of water and a wet sponge and wipe the dish down before you put it in. And that way you don't have the extra food. They're always coming out clean.
All right, Chuck, who's our food aficionado, where do you put sharp knives and wooden spoons?
Well, if it's a sharp knife that requires sharpening, like, say, a cooking knife,
right,
chef's knife, you don't put it in the dishwasher.
Absolutely.
That's correct. Right.
You hand wash it.
What about wooden spoons?
Wooden spoons, no, you hand wash those and you rub them down with a food safe oil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the heat and water can degrade the items quickly. Large plastic and metal utensils like spoons and spatulas should lie where? Middle rack,
you should get silicone and not plastic.
Okay, well, yeah.
We've got these. We've got an extra rack at the very top.
Oh, that's the expensive one. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's pretty standard on the newer ones nowadays.
All right. Yeah, well, it goes on the top. Okay, that's good. You're putting glassware over, and I don't understand this. So, Brad or Greg or Chuck, you put your glassware in over the tines. Does everybody know what a tine is? In the thing
I'm
that
assuming
stick up?
It's the
little things that stick up. It's a common misconception that glassware belongs over the tines in the top rack of the dishwasher. While cups and glasses do belong on the top rack, they should actually be placed between the tines to prevent the cracks and chips that occur when they rattle or bump against each other during the course of the wash cycle. Brad?
Unless that's true. Yeah, they go between the tines, but some dishwashers have those bottle washers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're using the bottle washer, make sure that it's properly seated over.
And
that
make
nozzle.
sure you clean those nozzles on those bottle washers, because they get clogged a lot of times. For some reason, ours are always getting clogged.
And not with that nasty sponge that you just wipe down the dishes with, Greg. That's
what? I mean, it's a sponge that's going to get sanitized and clean.
Terrible.
It's just a debris mover.
I'm glad somebody said that.
For Christ's sake.
The bacteria living in that sponge is
yeah, but you put the sanitized wash extra hot. It's fine.
Yeah. Spoons and forks. So how do you arrange those? Does anybody have by the way, this is coming from Bob Beeler's
I'm OCD.
website.
I have to have spoon, especially if you have
facing
that top
up,
rack.
down,
up.
No, wait.
Up.
all facing up.
Down.
Yeah, the handle part goes down.
Wait. Hold on. But we're talking about putting them. Yes, if you're putting them in that little side rack on the side, just put them always facing down, handle up.
No,
handle down.
Chuck's saying handle down. Let me just say this.
I've been waiting. Would be like that.
So
I don't wanna get poked.
I've been waiting for 10 or more years to say this to Chuck. Chuck, you're wrong. You are wrong.
No.
According to this, alternate their direction with some handles facing up and others down to keep them from nesting into each other.
Yeah, that makes sense. But
more separated they sit, the easier it is for soap and water to give to the proper stuff. This one comes from Bob Vila, but there's another list of Bob Vila.
He's out in California. I'm going to pull all the.
Now wait.
Well,
I will tell you.
And if you're talking spoon specific here, say that 10 times fast. Then then that might be a strategy for the spoons.
No. There's a problem with that, and here's what I will tell you because I read another report that if you put with the handles down and everything up, when you go to unload the dishwasher, you're putting your
fingers on
the which makes it dirty. Think about that, Chuck.
You should have a dry cloth. If we're talking good etiquette, you should have a dry cloth that you're giving a little polish as you're putting them in the drawer.
There's at least that much difference between the base of the item that you slide the spoon into and the actual bowl of the spoon.
What Chuck said is exactly right. Yeah, you don't grab the bowl. You got plenty of time. Okay, well, wherever Chuck is.
All right, well, let's keep going. You're loading every plate. Do you load them in the same direction or do you alternate directions?
Same direction.
Same direction.
According to this, avoid loading plates in a single direction. Instead,
dishwasher simply won't allow it.
Arrange them all facing the center so they have even access to the soap and sprayer. I can hear my friend Michelle going, no, I'm going to do it this way. And
it makes sense if you have it centered, but a lot of the racks they show you how they want it loaded.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, my rack, I couldn't load it the other way. It wouldn't make sense.
Okay, the folks at GE are cringing listening to us talk about this. I'm going to go through marriage counseling because of this.
Call Bob Vila. When loading plates, alternate between large and small sizes to promote the best water flow.
That makes sense. I get that logically, but not the reverse facing. But like
large platters, cutting boards in front, casserole dishes should always be placed at the back or sides of the bottom rack. By the way, if you want more on this, you can send me an email. I'll send this out to you. And so you can prove it to your spouse or someone who's not listening that you're right and they're wrong. You're putting glassware on the bottom rack. It's tempting to stick a glass or a cup on the bottom rack when the top gets too full, but listen, resist it. The top is specifically designed for glassware and cups. Don't mix metals. If you keep your stainless steel and silver utensils away from each other, those two metals constantly could collide, and there's a chemical reaction.
I didn't know that.
It'll make splotches all over your stainless.
And don't overfill because it reduces the efficiency. Now, that's one report from Bob Vila. Just when you thought you've heard everything, here comes Martha Stewart.
There's more.
There's more. Martha Stewart, when loading the dishwasher, you should place your utensils point up or down was the question.
Are these insider tips or these?
I don't know. This is largely based on personal preference, but there are some rules of thumb to follow. Pointing your items down with their handles up is the more hygienic method you're using, so you only touch the handle. Also, especially in a COVID environment, it's also a good idea to point everything with a sharp edge facing down. Aha. That's for safety's sake, and it's more important to use.
Doug wants to go there. Go ahead, Chuck.
I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that KitchenAid, whoever makes their dishwashers and whatnot, have created a system where it has to be handled down.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Oh.
There is no way to put a spoon down.
Well, it may be wrong then. So there you go. All right.
Oh, because it has like the little gate, it has like gate over top of it.
A prefixed gate. Now it keeps it separate. So that's probably how
it's got like a little. I know what you're talking about.
We've only got a couple minutes left, so let me get to the couple of questions also from our listeners. Annie is writing. She says, "My best friend just got her real estate license. Should we use her as our agent?" She says, "I'm conflicted on whether to hire her as our agent. My husband says no." Any suggestions from all of our team?
Watch my Instagram, and it'll explain the difference between an experienced agent and a new agent. And in this market, as much as I love my friends and people that I know that are new agents, you don't want a new agent in this market.
There's a lot of stuff that you need. Here's one quick suggestion is talk to your friend. Say, listen, I wouldn't mind using you, but could you pair up with a more experienced agent that you probably know and or mentoring you, and that will help you. Finally,
let me ask you, Bob.
Yeah.
If somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I've got this
without
new
question
friend,"
I would. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I've already done that, and I would in a heartbeat to help them. Yeah. Samantha asked, Chuck, for you, shopping for a home, 3 kids, but wants to know, is there a place to find out for sex offenders in the neighborhood? How can she do that?
You Google sex offender, and there'll be a website that you can go to.
All right. And then Tony sent an email and says he put his home on the market. It's a ranch. It sits on concrete. The buyer hired an inspector there, Brad, and did a radon test. And the agent says the radon came back high. And again, he's on a slab on a ranch. Does that really happen? How do they fix that?
Yes, it does happen. We see elevated levels in ranches on slabs quite frequently. The fix is talk to a radon mitigation company. The only thing I will warn you is some of the ranches around here do have the HVAC ductwork actually in the slab itself. Those can become very complicated and extremely expensive to mitigate. So just a warning there, but typically they'll just go in through a closet and put the line in there to pull the radon out from under the slab.
And one other item attached to that is if you have a patio home or condo association and the mitigated has to go through the roof, you need to get the approval of the condo association before. Otherwise, you'll be calling or emailing us, and Chuck's going to have to give you some advice on what to do at that point, because that's not good. Right, guys?
Yep.
All right, we are out of time. My thanks, of course, as always, to Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices. You can reach him at 499-6360. Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service, 844-411-TEAM. My son, Greg, who does, and Brad's brought up a picture of his dishwasher, the way he stacked it, very nice. Son, Greg, who does our marketing, photography, and so much more. And you can reach me, Bob Sokoler, anytime, 376-5483. For a replay, go to LouisvilleAnswers.com and you will see Brad's picture, but also hear this discussion again. If you want to email me, Bob at WeSellLouisville.com. And if you want to see what people are saying about us, go to LouisvilleZillow.com or LouisvilleSellersTalk.com. We're out of time. See you next Sunday on News Radio 840 WHAS.